When Rommel was appointed to command the German Afrika Corps, the small expeditionary force built around the 5th Light Division, his brief was to support the Italian position in Libya in the face of the British advance towards Tripoli. However, the general had other ideas, and he intended to go over to the offensive as soon as his forces were strong enough to sustain such an operation. In the next 2 years, the image of Rommel alighting in the desert alongside his forces in his personal faceless Storch liaison aircraft was one which the German people would become familiar with in the weekly cinema newsreel. To protect the vulnerable Stukas, fighter support was provided by Me-109Es of 1st Grupper JG-27 and the 7th Grupper of JG-26. In September 1941, the first Me-109 F1 and F2s appeared in the theatre with the arrival of the 2nd Grupper of JG-27. While the African theatre produced a number of stars among the ranks of the Jagdflieger, none shone more brightly than Lieutenant Hans Joachim Marseille. Although his final tally of 158 confirmed aerial victories at the time of his death on the 30th of September 42 was much less than the very high scores of many aces serving in Russia, all of Marseille's kills had been against the RAF in the West and North Africa. Here, the skills of the British and Commonwealth pilots were generally of a higher order than those of the Red Air Force. Indeed, Adolf Galland placed Marseille in the foremost rank of the Experten when he described him as the unrivaled virtuoso of the fighter pilots. He first saw service in 1940 when he joined the 4th Grupper of JG-52. His scoring career took a while to take off, achieving just 6 victories in his time on the Channel front. His behaviour and attitude at this time did little to endear him to his unit commander, Johannes Steinhoff. Transferred to 1st Grupper of JG-27 at the end of 1940, thence to North Africa in March, his tally of skills began to grow rapidly thereafter. In his preferred mount of the Bf-109F, his intuitive skills as a pilot enabled him to dispatch enemy aircraft with an economy of ammunition that became legendary. The most remarkable day of his career over the desert came on the 1st of September 1942 when, in a fury of non-stop sorties, he shot down 17 confirmed enemy aircraft. By this time, he was a familiar feature in the newsreel reports from the theatre. In the event, his death was not due to enemy action, but to a fire in the engine of his new 109G. Bailing out, he hit the tailplane, knocked himself out, and plunged to his death in the desert below, having only just been awarded the diamonds to his Knight's Cross following his 126th kill. The primary task of the 110 became that of ground support and acting as a long-range fighter bomber operating in concert with Rommel's fast-moving ground forces. In the desert, the range of the 110 was a great advantage, allowing it to roam over the whole battlefield. A number of those seen here are carrying bombs and are the C4 Yabo variant. The worst enemy of all for the ground crews of the 110s was the all-pervading dust. It was necessary to fit filters to the carburettor intakes to prevent the jets becoming clogged up, causing damage and wear to the engines. On this occasion, a small collection of British Army lorries and armoured cars, probably well within what they imagine to be their own lines, are being strafed by the 110s. The 110 was also employed for photo reconnaissance of enemy lines. This model, a C5, employed a single RB50-30 camera being carried to the aircraft by the ground crew. Bf 110s served in North Africa throughout the campaign. Later variants made their way into the theatre and were employed extensively for ground support and Stuka escorts until the defeat of Rommel at El Alamein and the withdrawal into Tunisia. This picture of a Bf-110 preparing to take off gives a very graphic impression of the clouds of dust raised as the throttles are opened up.